An idea, I received an email from someone who purported to be from RT Media. I tell you what her name was, One Myers, because I know you get the emails, because often you get offered £85,000 and what they wanted was an exclusive. So they asked me to speak to them, to give me their story, and then what they would do is they would present it to all the different networks. They'd be told no, it would go in the bottom drawer, and I was contracted, I couldn't speak to anyone else. You know, and I kind of said, you know, you're not grasping the concept. This is not about money. It's not about money. It's about. How's that? Oh, that's bad. Sorry, I'm not very technical. So, where was I? So that's what I basically found is that there was no increased death rate in 2020. They made massive efforts to relabel every death as a COVID death. And the only time people died in great numbers was the moment people went in arms. And that's the reality of it. You know, so what can you take away from it? You can either listen to what I've said, or you can take government advice and go and get a jab. It's that simple. But to give you an idea, in the last 2 weeks, I picked up 2 kids in their 20s that have died not long after having death. You know, and it's not the only two. I'm a very small family-run funeral director. So you can imagine what the big players are going through. You know, and I speak to guys that are still working for the that got coroner's contract, and they run off their feet because people are presenting at the hospital short of breath. I even spoke to one girl who worked for the 101 service, and she said that 9 out of 10 people that are calling up are jab recipients and they're short of breath because they're full of blood clots. Do you know? So you know, you can either take what I've said and listen to it, or you can go on your way and go and take the jabs. And no, I respect anyone's decision, but to know what I know and not say anything, it would make me complicit, and I refuse to be complicit. So last September, I took a phone call from a guy called Mark Sexton. You'd have probably all heard from him, of him. And I was asked to go to Westminster to a meeting that was attended by 2 government ministers. One of them didn't turn up and cited personal reasons. The second one was a very prominent guy called Sir Graham Brady. Now, for those of you who are not aware, Sir Graham is he's the commissioner of something called the 1922 Committee. He's a very senior guy, and we met at number 1 Birdcage Walk on September 21st. It was a Tuesday afternoon, a 2 o'clock meeting, and I actually was escorted down there by a member of the SAS, believe it or not. He was a really good guy. So anyway, I went in there, we had the meeting. There was about 18 of us there, and to give you an idea of who was present, Professor Dolores Cahill, now, who was advising government in her 20s, do you know, in her 20s, and she must be, I would imagine, approaching 60. Please forgive me, Dolores, if I've got that wrong. But she's at the very top game, and now the Guardian and the Times reported it as a group. This is a woman who worked for the government, built her career on vaccines. So do you know, it is Suparit Bhakti was there, Mike Yeadon, the Vice President of Pfizer, Dr. Sam White was there, Philip Harland, Anna Debisseray, I hope I pronounced her name right, and just many others, Diana Hyland, Mossop. There were loads of people there, there was a lot of people there. It was quite intimidating because I'm just an undertaker. They all had letters after their names, and I haven't. You know, But we all had 10 minutes to give testimony in our respective fields, and mine obviously in the capacity as a funeral director. And it was utterly damning. I can tell you now, I saw evidence go down on the table to Sir Graham that suggested 70% of the children back would be sterilised, and that was an accepted side effect. Steroid, and he acknowledged that. He said there was nothing he could do. He was powerless, and he couldn't stop it. Now, it was put to him towards the end of the meeting that when the masses find out what's been done, there'd be a level of civil unrest. And he said the government are well prepared. And look at all the new huge super prisons that's springing up. Do you know, now I'm 54. I've been I've listened to prison overcrowding for decades. And every now and again, you'll get a new Home Office minister in who promises to address it and never does. So now we're on our knees economically, and that's a priority to build super prisons. Come on, what don't you see? You know, there are things there that are so obvious. For example, ask yourself a question, why do 80,000 NHS staff prepared to lose their careers rather than take the protection? The government said they'd sack them all, didn't they? Why is that? Because they know they'd have 80,000 prime witnesses all spilling their guts. So that's the first one. Number two, 10 weeks ago, COVID was going to kill you all. You couldn't work, you couldn't travel, you certainly couldn't see your own family. Fast forward 12 weeks, you can move a family into the Ukraine. What can't people see? How can they not see? Is it me? Am I just wired differently? Or do you know? And then you have to look at all the FIFA registered footballers and trainers that have died in the last 18 months. Another one at the weekend, a lad of, I think he was 39. I read it this morning, you know. Super fit guys that are scrutinised, every ligament, every tendon, but all of a sudden now they've got sudden heart conditions that run, you know. What can't people see? Do you know,